thank you so much for coming today, and we really.
For video recording.
So we really appreciate that you guys gave us this opportunity, and I know some of you guys say that you guys should thank us for coming, but seriously, for us trans community to have this kind of space in Malaysia, no, it's not easy. So thank you so much, and we should give them a round of applause. So, how did this campaign started? It started actually from the community, from us. Okay, before this, it's always people speaking on behalf of trans community. You know, it's either the male, the female, the L, the G, the B, the T, the B. Okay, so this time it's all about the trans community telling what we really want, how we really feel, and what we really gone through in a country like Malaysia, where LGBT people are not accepted, and yeah, we live in a shit place. But anyway, we still survive though. The reason why this whole video came is because that everyone seems to be confused, especially the society out there. You know, when they talk about who we are, you know, are we weird? Or are we having some mental problem? Even the terms, you know, like we earlier on, aqua, lenyao, and all those stuff, you know. I mean, I'm used to all those words since I was back in my hometown. I live in a Chinese area, so that's why I can speak Chinese, yeah. So yeah, and the main reason is basically this video is to engage with the society out there, to tell them this is who we are. We are not freaks, we are not alien, we are not pedophiles.
Not everyone is sex workers.
We are not we are not all sex workers. There's, you know, and there's a reason why people are in sex workers. Maybe you guys can ask me a question later, yeah. So I'm not going to mumble too much. Maybe we can start with.
You talk about like maybe like what the info kits about and stuff like that, you know, because we are launching this info kit, right, for this stuff.
Okay, so we have these info kits here. We have this very gorgeous, very gorgeous CD sleeve, CD kit thing. Inside you will find a CD with a comic, and behind the comic is the 19 ways of how to be a trans ally.
So this is done by Shiko. This the art and illustration is done by Shiko. Shiko is now one of the
introvert, extrovert,
transfer.
Yeah, so she's actually like one of the, I can say internationally known like artists. So she has like she recently had her installation and her art in Singapore Biennale. It's featured there, and she was featured in Times Magazine and stuff like that. So like she's actively helping us with all the illustrations and the design of the whole kit and stuff like that. So actually this whole project is done by trans people. The whole thing, the writing, the design,
the infos.
Yes.
Maybe?
So yeah, in this CD we have all the 5 videos that we watch. So if you want to like get Chinese New Year gifts, to spread the message to everyone. Yeah, and in here we put our life stories and our hopes and dreams and inspirations. And when you bring in that and send it forward to other people, that is also part of being a transer. So, thanks.
I wanted to ask is does everybody know what it means to be an ally? 联名，大家都明白吗？那个意思。So because a bit like a friend, someone like a friend. So because there's like a few people asking me what's an ally and then what it means to be an ally, you know. So like the infocomics here address like how to actually be an ally and how do you actually can help the trans community here in Malaysia. So I think upcoming projects that we are looking forward to is like we wanted to design one for how businesses, like if you have a business, if you have a company, how can you be an ally and how can you actually help transgender community by doing certain things, you know, or if you are media, if you're connected to like television, newspaper, magazines, whatever, how can you be an ally and put trans people in a very positive light. What else? Parents, yes, exactly. So yeah, family, like obviously it's very, very important, and I think a lot of people just don't know how to handle when they have kids that have gender dysphoria, and there is literally not enough healthcare information here because it's like taboo. And then
Explain gender dysphoria.
everybody knows gender dysphoria.
Chinese.
What do you call gender dysphoria?
性别离散 diaspora, like DIASPORA, diaspora.
It's pronounced dysphoria.
Incongruence.
Like cannot match the
性别混淆，性别
就基本的意思就是你对你自己的性别，你觉得很不舒服。
性别认同障碍的事情。
性别认同障碍，就觉得很不舒服。So that's gender dysphoria. 当然，有时就是那种小孩子、小儿童就好像跟父母讲的说，其实我觉得我像女生啊，或者我觉得像男生啊，我想打扮这样子，然后父母其实就很 they're not ready to handle this kind of situation, you know. And then you have cases like kids being kicked out of school very early, and then because of that, you know, they kick out the house very early, then they haven't finished their education, and that's why some of them end up in sex work. So you know, it's like a vicious cycle.
And based on what Jalan said, because of the situation itself, it creates a hostile environment out there, whereby for a trans community to get a simple job, even as a waitress or waiter, it's difficult. And most people judge us not just based on our profiles, our resume or whatever. They judge us because of our appearance as a transgender person. So it's difficult, and I can say, coming from, I work in an organization based in Kuala Lumpur. It's called PC Foundation basically, and based on my observation, I can say 70% of trans people, especially trans women, are into sex work, and I don't blame them. I was in sex work too, previously. So later on, maybe you guys can ask me any questions, and I can.
Yeah.
So more detail.
Also, there are some, like, a lot of trans people are afraid to go for interviews because the kind of questions that you get in interviews, right? During the first 10 minutes of the boss, like, asking you to come in and sit down for the interview, you'll get questions like, and I was working in Singapore, which is supposedly a very trans-friendly place. The first questions that you will get, you're a girl. Then you did your surgery already. Then how? You like girls? Then how you do with the girl? You didn't get your surgery. Like this kind of questions that totally have nothing to do with my capability to do that job, you know. And the kind of questions can be very dehumanizing. Like when you finish and you leave, like most of them just want to like have you there for entertainment purposes and they'll never call you back. And when you leave, you feel like, you know, having to answer the question just to get a job. You know, it's very painful.
Yeah, so positive light. This is the info kit. So we did it so that because we have this kind of problems every year. People are saying, you know, how can I help you? How can I help you? You know, they hear our stories and then, you know, they keep saying the same question. So there you have it. How you can help us. So I think we are doing all this for like 10 ringgit. Is it? Yeah, 10. 10?
Yeah.
So the CD itself is 5. The CD itself is 5, and then 10 you get everything like with car stickers and stuff like that. No, we do this so that we can fund our campaign. So we charge slightly more than cost price, but you know, whatever goes is 5 ringgit by donation, 10 ringgit by donation, just so that we can continue our projects. So that, like I said, we wanted to do how companies can be an ally, how media and parents can be allies. So all this fund is channeled to, you know, for work.
Want to get more also can.
Yeah, but it's minimum donation. Okay. Yeah. So questions when
You can ask
private
anything.
personal questions we can choose to answer or not.
Seriously.
We will try to answer.
所以问题，如果你觉得你英文就比较
The organization you're working in, what is the main things you do there?
Okay. Let me explain the situation first in Malaysia. In Malaysia, if we have anything in regards of LGBT or whichever is against the government, you're not allowed to, to have a patient based on LGBT especially. So the organization that I work on is based on HIV/AIDS prevention work, and therefore I manage the transgender program there. But because we are constrained on our work, basically, because I feel our issue is not just about HIV/AIDS. You know, everyone is affected by HIV/AIDS, right? So this campaign is not based on HIV/AIDS or whatever. It's based on human rights as a trans person.
So do you do counseling for trans?
Yes, I do. I do peer-to-peer counseling because no one really understands a trans person if it's not a trans person themselves. Okay. I myself, when I was in prison, I was sent for counseling, and the counselor with his what do you call that? Those Muslims call those white So he was basically trying to counsel me to repent, to be, to change myself, and it was a tough situation. It was a tough time for me because I come from both religion, whereby, I come from Christianity and Islamic, and both religion when I was young always tell me that this is wrong, wrong. And then when I'm in jail, the same guy who looks like Osama, keep on saying this stuff to me, and it creates a very, how do you call it?
Dehumanizing.
Yeah, it makes me feel very low self-esteem. Yeah. Anything? Yes.
My name is Jules Ong. Not a question again. Hi, Nisha. Hi, David. I belong to a group called Inclusive Mosque Initiative, and we actually have an inclusive worship where we accept trans people as well as LGBT people, or people not accepted by the mainstream mosque. So we would actually like to extend our invitation for you can be. We also do a lot of interfaith work. So in our group we have Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and we dialogue, and we have together worship that is open to Muslims who cannot worship in mosque. So we would like to extend that invitation. As to Muslims as well as to Christians and Buddhists and Hindus. We can talk about it.
Your mosque, do they allow women to pray with them?
Yes. Actually, the mosque is not a physical mosque. It is part of. It's actually. If you just Google Inclusive Mosque Initiative, it's all over the world, and we hold it in people's homes. Because later on, maybe when we are more established, we will have, and I think they're gonna be. Right now, if we do it, we're gonna be arrested. So we actually do it quietly in people's homes, and we kind of rotate. So we want to have a very safe, very warm and safe and inclusive atmosphere for people of all ages.
Thank you.
So is it so it's all religion, right? So what form of worship or service is it?
I think the base, the people who organize it are Muslims. So the kind of the base is Islamic worship. But we also do breathing meditation. That is sort of a Zen kind of Tiknahan from the Plum village. We kind of follow that practice because we don't feel that it is conflicting with Islamic practice. So even atheists, if you don't believe in a God, you can come and then you can just following the meditation practice. We've done some walking meditations at Frame. We've done some last Ramadan we had iftar, that is the breaking fast. And then we invited people of all faiths to come together. We broke fast and then we did our worship. So we did the salat, and then people who don't do the salat, if they want to follow, they can follow. But if they don't want to follow, it's okay. They do their meditation, at the side of it, right? So we kind of had an inclusive space for people to worship God for all humanity.
Respecting each other's religion.
Yes, respecting each other's religion. I mean, if you're not comfortable with joining in the Muslim prayer, that's fine. But at least you can see, I mean, a lot of people, the people who went actually were very quite happy to know that, oh, this is the way you pray. So it's sort of a learning thing. You can learn from each other. So we are pretty small now, but we are trying to reach out quietly. I mean, we can't do it openly.
Community will come in force.
Like it's Muhammad's birthday on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Our nearby mosque, for the first time I saw an invitation. Please come, sila datang dengan jiran-jiran bukan Islam for a lunch. So I'm very happy and bringing a few friends today. After that we'll have a little gathering.
Do you have inclusive ustaz or imams?
We don't have inclusive. We invite those progressive ones.
So they are not out.
Yeah, they're actually out in the community, but we actually haven't done that yet. We've just done it among ourselves. So, but we have plans. We have plans to invite and discuss.
How about religious leaders of other things?
Sure, of course. We are definitely planning to do that. But it's more of a practice space, so you can practice our religion in safety. I mean, it's not just interfaith, but intra-faith also. Like as Muslims, you can't even practice in a certain way. So we want to be able to practice in a certain way. But it's a very informal thing right now.
But for Jules' questions, I would like to ask, actually about like Jules said that they have to do it like not that open yet. I mean, but like you are doing for this promoting this one in Phuket openly. Is there any problem in time when you doing all this? Any kacau lah from government or whatever that's come from kacau to you guys?
So far, not really, because we've done it so openly that I think they're kind of scared to move in. Because
how England to
England too powerful. So no, I think it's because we've done it so openly that if they actually come and raid us or catch us or something, then it will just prove everything we're saying. So you can see for yourself what's going on. So I think for that reason alone, they're not actually doing anything, or maybe they don't really know about us yet.
And
sooner or later.
Yeah, and at the same time, before we started this project or this campaign, we basically did, a lot of discussion, brainstorming, and everything, and we make sure that if you notice that in our videos, we do not mention about religion. If you notice that, we do not mention about race also at the same time, because we know in Malaysia when you talk about religion, it's just too sensitive, and people start to politicize and it can be issue. So this is basically specifically as trans person. So yeah. So far, touch wood. Please touch wood. Any more questions? I'm sure you guys got a lot of questions in your mind.
Yeah, I've never seen a trans man with a
beard.
Yes.
So, I mean, how did you get this? I mean, how did you grow hair?
This is one of the favorite questions in interviews. But hormones. Yeah, testosterone is quite interesting. For example, I used to be a soprano singer in the Penang State Choir. Now you ask me to sing like that, yeah, it does a lot of things.
Do you want to share about your videos that you have on?
Yes, I have. Thank you. I forget my own things. I actually have, because one of the things that I did was when I first started transitioning, so putting the hormones and all that, I actually created this video log on YouTube. So it was actually for me personally, like to see my, the differences and the voice, everything. And it actually turned out to be pretty interesting, where a lot of people actually found me through that, and they started adding me and saying, you know, bro, I also feel this way, and can you help me find blah blah blah, you know, can you help me start, you know, how did you get the beard? So, you know, and sooner or later there was just too many people adding me, so I just decided to start a community now, because for trans women, they're pretty, like, you know, they're very visible. You know, you can see that, you know who they are.
And they're tall.
Yeah, short.
Scott's laying up a joke.
But the thing is, for trans men, you see us on the street, you don't know who we are. And this is both a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing is nobody knows who we are. Bad thing is nobody, even people ourselves who are like us, also don't know who we are. So you don't have a community, so you feel like you're all alone and you're struggling by yourself. And it's very difficult to go through such things, such heavy things alone. And so when I started the community, I thought, okay, now it's just going to be a few people. But it's grown to be quite big, and we are 2 years in and 110 guys. So it's quite massive. And we have like support systems, you know, we talk, and we have like you know, this kind of networks where some of the guys buy the hormones in bulk and then sell it to the other guys, and it's quite a good system right now.
How can you find it in the internet?
Sorry?
How can you find it on the internet?
Oh, it's that's another
Security issue.
yeah, that's actually another problem, because a lot of the trans guys are stealth. Stealth meaning that they don't tell people about their history. They don't, because it's so much easier not to tell people that you were born female because of all the interesting questions that come. So as a result, the group is secret. It's a totally private group. You can't find it. You can't see it in any way. There's no physical address to it. It's just what we are hoping now is that members find other members and add them. So it's like word of mouth.
And the same thing with the YouTube video.
Oh no, that one is very very visible. They can find me, and that's how a lot of people. Oh sure.
Drag race.
No, actually it's different.
Prince.
Depressing. I was young. Yeah, but
不能看，因为很多。It's Prince YouTube title is
www.youtube.com/user/Prince
Depressed, yeah. So it's like
depressed
Depressed, DEPRESSIA, right?
Yes, please stop embarrassing me.
No, it's for person. She's writing down.
Are you gonna project this?
SIA, not she's depressed.
Sorry.
Depressed, SIA. Yes.
Okay.
No, we are not going to projecting.
Okay. So
you got it?
yeah.
I guess you know there's in Germany and from the whole like European region there's a lot of YouTube videos doing exactly the same thing, like videotaping all months.
Which is exactly why I decided to do it, because there's a lot of discourse from a lot of conversation, a lot of videos from the West.
Not enough localized
and not enough brown people. So, you know, and I haven't actually seen a video from an Indian person, so it's actually quite interesting, because a lot of the social issues as well are simply not talked about, and Malaysian context.
And Any more questions?
Still on the trans thing. You know, we often mix up lesbians with butch lesbians with trans men sometimes.
Yes. Even reals also.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is because you, like you said, I'm the first trans with a beard. So that this is possible is not really known about by a lot of people, including. So a lot of the butch lesbians might be trans men. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, because I thought, because they didn't go for surgery or take hormones, so
Yeah. But
so they still have that female voice. And
Yeah, but that's the thing. Some of them are trans men.
but they carry themselves as men,
Yeah.
dress and everything.
But that is not what makes a trans man. What makes a trans man is how you feel. If you feel like you're a man, you're a trans man. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with hormone surgery, anything. It's who you feel you are. That's it. And like I said, because the information is not out there, not a lot of people know that there is such a thing as trans men. Even I didn't know until I got this one. 6 months after I got this one, kicked out of my house, and my then girlfriend told me about her ex who is a trans man, and I was like, what is that? And then she started explaining it to me, and I was like, I think I'm a trans man. And then she was like, no, I want to be with a woman because she's a lesbian girl. So it was very ugly, but yeah, actually she was. But yeah, that's how I knew that there was such a thing as trans man. It was completely coincidental. So, you know, for a lot of trans guys, that's how they get the information as well. Completely coincidental. So, which is why I'm here talking, and hopefully somebody will be like, that's me, you know.
Which is a point that he mentioned was very important, is how you feel like, just because how the girl looks like or carries herself doesn't mean that she identifies as a trans man, because I've asked lesbian butch women, and then some of them just say that, you know, I still identify as woman, although they look, you know, from afar you probably mistake them as a guy. It's the same thing applies to trans women. Like, just because they drag and then, you know, look like a girl doesn't mean that they identify as women. You know, trans women are very different from cross-dressers and drag queens.
Or feminine gay men.
Yeah, or effeminate gay men. It all depends on how you identify yourself. It's not how you look. Yeah, that's just the important thing.
A thin line, I think.
Like
There's
a
a
swallow.
thin line between the.
It's thin, but it's very
It's very thick line.
Yeah, you know that it's not. It's thin for people outside,
Yeah.
but it's very sure from the person inside, because you know whether or not you are female, male, or you are non-gendered, right? So, but so it's just that from outside people will see, oh, you must be a girl because you look like a girl.
Because gender expression and gender identity are two very different things. There are just like, okay, in America,
You're gonna confuse people now.
I'm sorry, but in places where it's a bit more, where the discourse,
People discuss about this more, right? So we go
yes.
deeper into things.
Yeah, there are trans men who are like totally effeminate, like, you know, like talk like a woman, walk like a woman, and all that. But this, you know, they're still men, and they were born female, but they transition, and they're still the feminine.
Like
never change.
tomboy trans women.
Tomboy trans women also have.
Yeah.
So they were born male,
Like
they transition to become women, but they're still very macho.
So yeah, but they identify the main thing with that is they identify themselves as women, and there are the most important thing.
And there are gay trans men and lesbian trans women and bisexual, pansexual, and asexual. And
Yeah.
I think it's better for us not to be so confused about being a trans person and being, you know, lesbian, gay, bi, whatever, because specifically gender identity and sexuality is two different topics. Okay? And being a trans person, simple. Our brain doesn't relate with our genitals. You know, it's either you are born a boy and you feel like you are, not feel, you know that you are a woman. So you tend to live your life as a woman. But it doesn't mean that a trans person has to go for sex change. That's not just trans women, trans people. Okay, has to
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so used to trans. So, yeah.